Hey, what's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode here on K-Pop G. This is your boy Creator G, and as always, we are back in the building. With that being said, in this channel, I react to everything K-pop, the music, the scandals, the drama, choreography, and outstanding performances that keep surprising me time and time again. So with that being said, for this video, I'm finally diving into an artist that goes by the name of G-Dragon. Now, I heard so much about this guy, and whenever his name pops up, people don't just refer to him as an idol. They refer to him as a legend, someone that's a trendsetter and someone that has set the blueprint for the K-pop industry. So I'm really curious to see what his journey has been like up until now. And apparently this guy has changed the game, not just the music, but the fashion and the entire image of how people see K-pop. So yeah, this is going to really be an interesting one. With that being said, if you're new to K-pop just like me, or if you are a fan of K-pop, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share, and put down in the comments what you would like me to react to next. With that being said, without any further ado, let's go.
How G-Dragon redefined greatness. This one is going to be interesting. And shout out to the Noita for uploading this one and giving this one to us. I appreciate your work, man. With that being said, let's go.
From Seo Taiji to Boa, the stage belonged to many. But once in a while, someone comes along who changes the rules entirely.
It's always that rebel, someone who comes in and changes everything. The Kanye Wests, the Biggies, the Tupacs, the Michael Jacksons of this world, of this industry. Um, well, not of this industry, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's go. Whoa, what a flow. What a flow. I'm already loving it. This guy's flow is sick though. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds super dope.
He turned style into art, rebellion into culture, and self-expression into the new standard. To understand the boundless potential of K-pop today, you have to start with the man who redefined greatness itself, G-Dragon.
G-Dragon. Ooh, I'm loving the drip already. Super slick.
A music show stage in Seoul. 5 boys stand in formation, waiting for their cue. Big Bang had debuted a year earlier to modest reception.
So Big Bang was one of the groups that he formed, or I'm not sure if he formed it or if he was a part of the group.
Their first single underperformed. Industry veterans were already predicting they'd fade like countless groups before them. And YG's whole plan to focus on hip-hop was a mistake that no one would remember. Then, the opening synth of Lies cuts through the studio. 7-note sequence. That's all it took. The melody was haunting, minimal, nothing like the overproduced pop dominating Korean television. Standing center, an 18-year-old with blonde hair and
Wow, 18 years old. How long ago was this? 18 years old. Wow. Crazy, crazy.
eyeliner held the camera's gaze. Kwon Ji Yong. Stage name, G-Dragon.
Kwon Ji Yong. G-Dragon.
He wrote the song, produced it, arranged every note. Live.
Oh, this music video, I'm not sure what it is. It's giving Chris Brown. Um, Let me talk to you. I don't know what's it called, but you know what I mean.
Rapidly ascended to the #1 spot,
The typical running after a girl, and showing off.
dominating the charts for a record-breaking 6 consecutive weeks. Music show awards piled up. But mere statistics couldn't capture the true seismic shift. Across South Korea, music listeners and aspiring artists began meticulously checking the album credits. The question on everyone's mind was, who wrote this? Who produced it? And the answer,
Hmm.
the name G-Dragon, appeared time and time again, marking a new era of self-producing idols. Before Lies, idols were largely performers of material provided by others. After Lies, they could be creators. The song not only launched Big Bang into stardom, instead it cracked open the question the K-pop industry had been avoiding at that time. What if idols could create their own music and still dominate?
Of course, idols can create their own music and still dominate. What do you mean? What do you mean?
By the time Haru Haru dropped in 2008, the answer was
Oh, 2008. Wow. So he was 18 in 2008. Crazy.
clear. Another #1 hit, this one staying atop the charts for 7 consecutive weeks. Another G-Dragon composition. The pattern was forming, but the system wasn't ready to celebrate him yet. Success on your own terms.
You know, that always happens, you know. The industry always has their own ideas, and when an artist come along to do their own idea, they push them back, and then when the artist blows up, and then they want to hop on the bandwagon, they want to hop on the G Dragon bandwagon.
Always comes with resistance. And G-Dragon was about to learn that the hard way. Here's what the industry believed in 2009. Idol group members don't go solo and immediately dominate. They go solo, but then prove they needed the group to stay consistent. G-Dragon didn't believe that.
What a rebel! I'm sensing rebel from the get go. Seems like to me he doesn't give up.
Is this what's been waiting for? Brand new GD. I'm all by myself, but it's so good.
His solo debut album Heartbreaker, released in August, just before his 21st birthday. The title track opened with a pop-punk energy that K-pop had never fully committed to. The album blended hip-hop, electronic.
Homie was dancing with Jabberwockies before Jabber was Jabberwockies, man. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean?
rock genres that weren't supposed to coexist in a single project, especially not from an idol. The first week, the album moved 50,000 copies. By the end of the year, it had sold over 200,000. It became the best-selling album by a solo artist that year, outselling established veterans and proving that a member of a 3-year-old group could command the same commercial power alone. But the success brought intense scrutiny. Accusations surfaced almost immediately.
Why does there always need to be accusations?
Plagiarism. Critics claimed tracks like Heartbreaker and Butterfly borrowed too heavily from Florida and Oasis. The backlash spread fast. Music shows debated it. Online forums dissected every beat. G-Dragon responded by defending his creative process. No apologies, no backtracking, just a statement about artistic influence versus theft, and a refusal to let
Obviously, a lot of artists are influenced by other artists, and in no means is their intention to copy something. They're just inspired, you know. So I really do think that maybe the labels or the industry was trying to find a way to bring him down, basically, because that's what it's always about.
controversy erased the work. Florita's management later confirmed that no plagiarism had occurred, even suggesting a future collaboration. The controversy faded, but the album didn't. It kept selling. The stages kept happening. And by the time the dust settled, the message was clear. Greatness doesn't ask for permission.
Exactly. Wow, what a way to say it. Greatness doesn't ask for permission. Give what the people want. Come on.
Heartbreaker proved something the industry didn't want to admit. A solo idol could write, produce, and perform their own vision. The blueprint expanded. Other idols started asking their companies for more creative control. Producers started taking idol composers seriously. The door G-Dragon had been pushing against finally cracked open.
How come I never heard of this guy before? Like, why am I only discovering him now? Like, come on, man.
But walking through that door meant going even further. And what came next would show how proving himself as a solo artist was only the beginning of building an empire. By 2012, G-Dragon had already proven his worth as a solo act. The question now was how far he could stretch the idea of what a K-pop artist could become.
Mm.
One of a Kind dropped in September.
Wow, I'm loving this style. You can definitely see he's out of his mind. His creativity is out of his mind, man. One of a kind, definitely.
The title track, also named One of a Kind, declared his uniqueness over a beat that fused EDM with traditional Korean instruments. A
Mm.
combination that shouldn't have worked but did. The music video featured him in a blonde hair, surrounded by surreal sets and avant-garde fashion. Every frame felt intentional, like he directed not just the music, but the entire visual universe around it. The extended play was a showcase of his range, also featuring future hits like the acoustic That XX, the playful hip-hop track Crayon, and Without You, which featured a then unknown trainee who would later debut as Rosé of Blackpink. The EP topped
Okay.
charts across Asia within days. Sales hit 150,000 units by the end of the month,
Wow.
but the commercial success was almost secondary. What mattered more was the statement that K-pop could be experimental, genre-defying, and still connect with massive audiences.
Mm.
You didn't have to sacrifice artistry for popularity. Then Coup d'etat arrived in September 2013, and G-Dragon brought the world into the room. He worked alongside genre-bending producers like Diplo and Bauer. The sheer magnitude of these partnerships proved G-Dragon was building something massive. The resulting album
Respect, man. Respect for not being controlled, you know, by the people higher up on the hierarchy, you know. Respect to that. Respect for going your own way and setting a trend, man.
debuted at #1 in South Korea and charted internationally. This album also featured the track Black, which introduced another future Blackpink member, Kim Jenny, to the public for the first time as a featured artist. The album produced massive hits, but none more iconic than the track
I don't know, but he reminds me a lot about the Western artist Chris Brown. I don't know why, but I feel like there's some sort of relation.
Crooked. With its driving pop-punk energy, stadium-ready chorus, and a high-fashion music video filmed in London, Crooked became the album's signature track and a defining song in his solo catalog. The album proved that Korean artists didn't need to abandon their identity to collaborate globally with international artists. The album Coup d'etat debuted at #1 in South Korea and charted internationally on the Billboard World Albums chart. At the
Wow.
2013 Mnet Asian Music Awards, G-Dragon walked away with 4 major trophies.
Artist of the year.
including Artist of the Year.
Well
Rare
done,
for a
man.
soloist in an industry built around groups. The award includes recognition and validation that the rules had been rewritten. One person with the right vision and work ethic could command the same cultural weight as any 5-member group. In 2014, he became the first Korean solo artist to win a World Music Award in Monte Carlo. The
Wow.
same stage that had honored Michael Jackson and Madonna.
The same stage. Michael Jackson and Madonna. That is big, man. That just shows his influence. Wow. He really had to prove himself in this one.
His success transcended matching Western greatness. G-Dragon proved his artistry set a new global standard. But music was only half the story. What he did next was
Hey, it's type of doggy vibe. I'm loving that. Homie got some moves though.
influence doesn't stop when the song ends. The music charts couldn't contain G-Dragon's vision. By 2015, he had fully transformed into a global style icon, fundamentally rewriting the rules of fashion in K-pop. Paris Fashion Week, 2015. G-Dragon sits front row at Chanel, not as a celebrity guest, but as someone Karl Lagerfeld personally invited. The
Wow.
legendary designer would later call him one of the most interesting dressers of his generation.
Very interesting. His drip, you know, he goes through phases. He had a type of punk look with a whole, you know, thing on the eyes. And then he had this whole hip hop swaggy vibe. and then you can see how his style evolves as he progresses within his career. Super dope.
His airport fashion became international news. His Instagram posts set trends across Asia. Business of Fashion named him to the BOF 500, their annual list of people shaping the global fashion industry.
Mm,
Not entertainers wearing clothes well, but artists creating the culture around fashion itself.
mm.
Time magazine included him on their most influential people online list. Women's Wear Daily named him one of the best dressed men in the world. Forbes Asia put him on their 30 under 30 list. These were acknowledgments that he had become a force in global culture.
Definitely, definitely a force in globally. I mean, look, fashion is a way of expression, you know? So when you're an artist, your expression doesn't just come through music, it comes through the way you dress, the way you feel. Because the way you feel is the way you dress makes the way you feel, makes the way how you express yourself. So I'm definitely sure he gave a lot of inspiration to people in Korea, on fashion and, just how to go about to use fashion as a way of expression.
In November 2016, he launched Peace Minus One, not a merchandise line, a creative brand. The logo, a daisy with one petal falling, representing beauty in imperfection. The designs blurred the line between streetwear and high fashion. Every piece sold out within hours of release. The
Smart. This guy is smart.
brand was as successful as it was influential. Other idols started launching their own fashion lines. Entertainment companies began treating artist branding as seriously as music production. G-Dragon had proven that an idol's influence could extend beyond albums and concert tickets into tangible products that carried cultural weight. But influence is only meaningful if it can survive at scale, if it can hold an arena, if it can fill a stadium. And that test was coming. June 2017, an album drops with no traditional promotion, no music show appearances scheduled, no fan meetings announced, just a digital release and a title, Kwon Ji Yong, his birth name. The album
Kwon Ji
was
Yong.
raw, personal, tracks about loneliness, pressure, the cost of being a public figure for over a decade. The track Bull
I can imagine what this guy had to go through with all the acquisitions, with all the just people coming at him and want to tear him down.
Bullshit opened with profanity, something K-pop idols simply didn't do. And the other track, Divina Commedia, referenced Dante and existential crisis. This album wasn't made for the charts. He made it as a raw confession, stripping away the G-Dragon image to show the person beneath. The industry questioned
Very deep. This guy's deep, deep, deep.
the experimental format, a USB drive in the physical edition instead of a traditional CD. Minimal promotional cycle, no obvious title track. Critics wondered if he'd miscalculated. Then the numbers came in. The album topped iTunes charts in 46 countries within 24
Wow.
hours. It debuted at #1 on Korean charts despite the unconventional release.
Crazy.
The Act 3 MOTTE World Tour followed. Act
Oof.
3 refers to the beginning of the third
Was this guy's concert? Wow. Wow.
decade of his life. And MOTTE means Moment of Truth, the end.
It's nice how artists, there's always something behind something, and there's always a story behind everything they release, whether it's fashion, whether it's the music videos. There's always a story behind something, and that's what I love about a lot of K-pop artists or K-pop groups in general. There's always a story behind something, because that's what grabs the people. People are not interested in just the music. People love stories, storytelling, Storytelling is one of the most biggest selling points, you know. Put a story behind it and you go global.
The tour visited 36 shows across 29 cities, lasting about 4 months. Over
Whoa.
600,000 fans across all dates. Every show was a 2-hour production. Live band, elaborate stage design.
4 months touring. Are you nuts? 2 hours. Are you nuts? This guy's all for the fans, man. Why haven't I heard about G Dragon? Come on, man. I'm Creator G. You know what I'm saying?
And costume changes. But the core was always the music.
Mm.
Moments where he stood center stage with just a microphone, holding an arena through presence alone. Pure
Wow.
aura, and thousands of people hanging on every word. The tour proved something the industry had denied. A Korean solo artist could command the same scale as any global act. But in South Korea, even boundless ambition must pause for duty. The law required every able-bodied man to serve, and G-Dragon's time had arrived.
Ah.
The 27th of February 2018. G-Dragon enlisted for mandatory military service. The
Mm.
announcement was quiet, no farewell concert, no dramatic send-off, just a statement and then silence. For 18 months, he disappeared from public life.
Wow.
No social media updates, no surprise appearances, just absence in an
Oof.
industry that moves at light speed.
Wow. So 18 months, that's like what? A year and a half, basically. So he was away from the industry for a year and a half. Wow. I wonder what went through his mind. Like, did he prepare for this? Did he know this was gonna happen? Like, I'm not sure. Like, if you go to do service, you know, if you can, make music in advance and then have it released while you're doing your service. I'm not sure if that is allowed, but damn, to be away for 1.5 years is massive. You're losing out on so much.
New groups debuted every month. Trends shifted weekly. Some wondered if his influence would fade in the gap.
I'm sure a lot of people took advantage of this time when he was missing. They were like, now is our moment to shine because he's not going to be trending anymore. This is the time to capitalize on his fame, to capitalize on his fans and win his fans over. People are smart, man. People are smart and greedy. Greedy.
But the fans believes the silence became part of the legend. His absence made people realize how much space he'd occupied.
Mm.
Music show stages felt different without him.
Everybody wants a piece of the pie. And I think he had the largest piece for a long time.
Fashion weeks lacked a certain energy. The industry had grown used to his presence, and now it had to remember how to function without it. He returned in October 2019, quieter than before. No rush to release music, no immediate comeback announcements. Just a gradual re-entry into the world he'd helped build. The restraint was intentional. After a decade of constant output, he was choosing when and how to create. But the world had changed while he was gone.
Mm.
A new generation of K-pop had risen. Acts that had grown up watching him were now topping global charts. And what happened next would prove whether his influence had shaped them or whether they'd moved past him entirely.
Wow.
While G-Dragon was away, K-pop went global in ways even he hadn't predicted.
Mm.
Blackpink headlined Coachella. BTS topped the Billboard Hot 100. Stray Kids and TXT debuted with creative control.
I think this was strategically planned, to be honest with you. I think the labels came together and they were like, send this guy to do some service and give us time to take over. So I'm sure that they prepared groups before they knew before he knew that he was going. So that when he left, They were all prepared, to bring up those new K-pop groups and to take over, and to take the bigger piece of the pie.
Control from day one, the industry he'd fought to change had transformed completely. And in interview after interview, when these artists were asked who influenced them, the same name kept coming up. BTS members spoke about studying his production techniques. Blackpink's
Of
members trained
course.
in the same building where he'd once practiced. Younger groups cited him as proof that idols could be more than performers, to be artists in their own right. His vision became the new standard for the next wave of idols. By 2023, a new generation of self-producing idols had emerged. Groups debuted with members already credited as writers and composers. Companies marketed creative control as a selling point. The industry had fully accepted what G-Dragon had been arguing since 2009.
Wow.
Idols with artistic vision were more compelling than idols following instructions. His fashion line, Peace Minus One, continued to grow. The brand had become as influential as his music, proving that his impact extended beyond discography into tangible culture. But influence is meaningless if it can't evolve. If it just becomes nostalgia for what was.
Exactly. Like they say, if you're the master, your duty is to make sure that your students outgrow you. And I feel he's been the master for so long, and his students, people looked up to him, basically became bigger than what he was. And that's what it's all about. It's about the industry at the end of the day. So he sacrificed so much of himself to give to the industry and lay the foundation for the next generation to come in and have some sort of guidance, you know? So big ups, man, big ups. Be the master. Be the master and the sculptor of yourself. Wow, I love that.
In 2025, the Ubermensch concert film released theatrically in nearly
2025.
70 countries. A cinematic experience.
Wow.
The response was immediate. Fans who'd followed him for 2 decades sat next to teenagers discovering him for the first time. The 2025 World Tour finale took place at Gochok Sky Dome. Tickets sold out before the official sale date. The
Wow.
show opened with a medley of his earliest hits, then moved through every era chronologically. Each song met with the same thunderous response, regardless of when it was released. That's the proof of legacy. Whether
That is legacy. When your songs can last for more than a decade and people are still singing it, that is legacy. Nowadays, we have songs trending for a month and then it's a fly by night. It's just there for a month and then boom, people forget about it. But songs that last, you know, those are the legends. People who still singing 20 years later to your songs, those are the legends.
old work still resonates when placed next to new. In November, he performed at the APEC 2025 Gala in Seoul, world leaders in attendance. The performance transcended mere entertainment. It became an act of cultural diplomacy, a Korean artist representing his nation's creative power on a global political stage. The boy who once fought for creative freedom was now a symbol of Korean culture itself.
Wow.
Later that month, he sat down with journalist Son Suk-hee. 10 years since their last interview,
Wow.
the questions had changed. Not about his next song, but about his place in history, about what he built, about what comes after influence becomes standard. The answers were measured, thoughtful. The hunger from his 20s had transformed into something steadier. He spoke about the younger generation.
This guy's so open-minded and allowing the next generation to come in. So props to him. You could see he's not a selfish person or um egocentric, you know. So He's not fighting it, he's allowing it to happen. And I mean, he knows it's going to happen, so shout out.
Not with competition, but with pride. They were expanding what he'd started, taking it
Mm,
further than he'd imagined.
exactly.
That's what legacy looks like when it's working. 20 years ago, K pop had one definition of success: follow the system, perfect the choreography, sing the songs you're given, smile when told. Greatness meant conformity. G Dragon destroyed that definition. He proved idols could write and produce and still dominate
Such a
charts.
rebel.
He proved solo artists could fill stadiums without a group influence. He proved fashion and music could be equally important forms of expression. He proved Korean artists didn't need to apologize for ambition or artistry, but what matters most is what he made possible.
Exactly.
Modern K-pop idols self-produce because he showed it was viable. They launch fashion brands because he proved it could work.
Mm,
They speak openly about creative struggles because he normalized vulnerability. They
exactly. Normalizing vulnerability is very important. Very important for the soul.
globally because he opened those doors. BTS, Blackpink, Stray Kids, ATEEZ,
Mm,
TXT, Rise. Groups that didn't exist when he debuted now operate on principles he fought to establish. They don't copy him. They don't need to. But he had changed the foundation they're building on. That's the difference between success and influence.
exactly.
Success is personal. Influence is generational. G Dragon
Very
changed
well
what
said.
winning looks like.
Very
The
well said.
stage that once demanded conformity now celebrates individuality. The industry that once punished experimentation now rewards it. The system that once controlled artists now negotiates with them. And that transformation traces back to one name: Kwon Ji Yong.
Kwon
G
Ji
Dragon.
Yong, Chi
The artist who
Dragon.
refused to be anything other than himself, and in doing so, gave an entire generation permission to do the same. G Dragon dared to be bold. Will you?
Mm, dare to be bold, Chi Dragon. Wow, wow, wow. Such an interesting video. You know, I heard so much about G Dragon and now I understand why this guy is a legend. You know, it's being a legend is really a huge responsibility. And for him to set the trend for the rest to hop on, that's what it's all about. You know, removing him from the K-pop industry, I mean, if he was rejected from the get-go and he didn't push through, where would K-pop be today? How would K-pop look like today? You know, maybe it would have been more controlled by the labels, more, yeah, basically more controlled by the higher ups. You know, need to do what they say. You basically a puppet. You know, but this guy has influenced the K-pop industry musically, um, fashion. You know, so, wow, this is a really inspiring story about him, and I'm sure there is definitely deeper, deeper story to this. I feel like this was just borderline, but I feel like it goes way deeper. So I really want to see if there's more videos on G Dragon, giving me some more in depth about his journey, you know, and his challenges that he had to face. Um, but other than that, today he is an icon, you know, for the world globally, you know. And yeah, I'm just really inspired by his story, and I really want to see more of this guy. I really want to go more in depth into his music and just watch some old clips of him. So yeah, this won't be the end with G Dragon because your boy Creator G wants to know more. With that being said, guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a fan of K-pop or if you're new to K-pop just like me, discovering new things, please don't forget to tap that subscribe button. Tap it right now while you're at it. And comment, like, and share, and put down in the comments what you would like me to react to next, and I'll make sure I get straight into it as soon as I can. With that being said, that is it for today's video. Your boy, Creator G's out of this building. Peace.